Hello, welcome to the American Podcast. I'm Kevin Deveji, your host. Today we have the episode 35 and we are very excited. It is because today we are completing our season 1 and we are getting ready for season 2. And today's number is 356. This is how much 356 billion. This is how much money is actually being spent for the enterprise market. So that also dictates the worldwide enterprise software market as of 2023. Speaking of enterprise software, we have a great guest today. Let's welcome our guest and let's get our conversation started. Hello, David. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Kevin. It's great to be here with you.
Thank you very much. How is your week going so far?
Not too bad at all. It's been a great week. So just enjoying some sunshine.
Yes, that's good. So Fridays are fun days, and weekend is always here. So it's always good to have Fridays. So that's great.
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
So we have a lot to cover. Especially, I like to talk about enterprise software industry in general, as well as your viewpoint. If that's okay, let's start with introductions. And you and I, we know each other for years. We do business together. We work together. Just for the record, this is for our audience to get to know you and your organization. And as a start, would you please introduce yourself and your organization to our audience?
Sure. Would love to. So David Mon, my company is Premier Tech Partners. This year we are 73 years old as a company. So we've been
Amazing.
around a little while, and we are enjoying growth under a new name recently. Prior to Premier Tech Partners, it was Premier Computing, and prior to Premier Computing, it was All Makes Typewriters. So that was the name of the company in 1952. So we've had to reinvent ourselves a few times, but over the last 40 years, we have been heavily focused in ERP solutions, and so the company is growing and doing well, and our customers are adopting technology that is helping them to scale and grow, and we're seeing a lot of growth throughout all of our customers worldwide.
That's exciting. Can you tell us about your career path? How did you get started?
Oh boy, that's a long elongated
You'll
question.
get the summary.
Sure. I'll keep it really short.
Okay.
I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. So at age 21, I bought a restaurant, and at age 23, I quickly sold that restaurant when the main contributor to our economic, the whole economic system kind of fell apart where I lived. And I did New York Life for a while. And then I started a career with the Air Force. I was an air traffic controller in the Air Force and did that for 6 years, kind of to
Thank you
get
for
me
your
back on
service.
my feet, right, pay for my schooling, etc. And then while I was active duty, I started a fiber optics company. So did that for quite a while, from 1993 to 2004. And then after that, I was part of a company called, it was actually in Linden, Utah, and it was a technology company that did IT services. And they were acquired by Symantec. And so it was quite an experience, right? To take a company from, around 250 million in revenue to over 850 million in revenue. And then we also, after that, I did a company called IntegraCore. So that was another startup, and that we started that in 2007, right at a perfect timing here in America, right? For the recession began right after we launched the company.
Yes.
And we decided not to participate in the recession. So we actually built that company from 1 million to 103 million during the recession. And then I exited in 2012 and started another venture doing consulting, and then acquired Premier Computing, part of Premier Computing, back in 2016, and then sold the entire company in 2018. And then I reacquired the entire business again in 2024. So it's kind of been a good merry-go-round, and what comes around goes around, right? So we've seen great growth in the industry, and the company's done very well. And we basically acquired 8 companies as part of that acquisition and brought them all under one roof. And they all support our mission, which is to provide companies with software that they can scale with for 25, 30, 40 years versus having to change out every 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. Um, can you tell us about your current job? What are the exciting parts and challenging parts of your current work? Because you work with many different organizations, you help them digitally transform themselves, which is an important mission. So I love to, get your viewpoint, if that's okay.
Yeah, so many companies that have had, been in business for a long time, they have what we call legacy systems. And our job is to go in and help them understand the roadmap to transforming into a technology company, having technology that will allow them to scale their business beyond what their current software technology allows them to do. So we actually go in and do a complete roadmap. So we'll meet with them. We'll spend several weeks with them. We'll go through and learn about their business. We'll learn about what their processes are, and we'll create a roadmap for them. And as we're doing that, we basically understand and discover everything they need. And then we're able to identify what are the challenges are going to be. And almost always the challenges are going to be in change, right? They have a hard time with change when you've been doing something so long in a certain way. It's very hard to change to a new technology. You have a lot of resistance. And, there are people who are like, well, if you're going to do that, then I'm leaving, right? And I just want to keep doing my job the same way I've been doing it for the last 30 years, right? So we run into a
That
lot
is
of
it. That's all they ask.
hardest part, right?
Yes.
It's the hardest part is getting people to accept change, and to actually be a catalyst for change, which is really the thing that stymies the growth in most companies, is they're not willing to make the changes that need to be made in order to break through the glass ceiling, to be able to break through the $10 million mark and get to 50 million, right? They're stuck where they're at because they don't have a system that can really handle what they need.
Yes. So you just mentioned about enterprise software systems and ERPs. Let's talk about a little bit, if that's okay. So how is the ERP software market nowadays in general? And a follow-up question, let's say part two, is what type of steps should companies take to make the right decision when they are choosing their ERP system?
Yeah. So right now the market is very strong because there's a lot of companies that are experiencing some great growth in the economy right now, at least here in the United States, and especially where I'm located in Utah. The economy's booming, and construction is happening everywhere. There's more construction companies popping up all the time, and they all need software to manage their business. So we're doing well in the construction industry with our software. But really the tips are, hey, when you're looking to adopt an enterprise, resource planning system, an ERP system.
Yeah, thank you for explaining. I was going to ask you for some of our audience. Thank you for the explanation.
Yeah. Most people don't know.
I get the question too sometimes. What is ERP, right?
Yeah, and basically what it means is that one single system or one single platform can manage all aspects of your business. So whether it's manufacturing, distribution, construction, e-commerce, if it's professional services, there's just a wide variety that can all be managed inside one single platform, including payroll and all the HR elements, and banking and credit card processing, all that stuff that businesses do on a daily basis can all be done in one system. And then we partner with great companies that have solutions that are outside the ERP, that are very niche, reporting or managing assets and things like that, that we bring in as partners to help us provide a full solution. But it has to be integrated, right? So there needs to be open APIs in the systems we bring in. We want it to talk to the system that we sell and implement and support. So we are very picky about who we partner with, and we try to make sure that we select customers and companies that are going to really fit well with us.
Yes. So I also know that you are working very close with Acumatica ERP. That's the one
Yeah,
that you are offering. So can you tell us about it? Why it is, or I must say, what type of companies it is good for ideally, and what makes it a little different in the marketplace? A little bit of insights about Acumatica
sure.
ERP, if you can share.
Sure. Let me start with the difference with Acumatica because that'll help explain which companies it really works well with. It's
Okay.
built on a .NET development platform. So it's built on technology that doesn't get old. So the platform can be upgraded anytime there's a new .NET version that comes out. You simply upgrade the platform, and that upgrades the entire system that's built on top of that platform. So the ERP is built on top of that development platform, which allows for the connections to happen quickly. All API connections can be done very quickly. You can use webhooks and you can push and pull data in and out of the system without any problems whatsoever. And what that does is that allows us to really be able to also add new customizations into the system. So if a construction company approaches us and says, "Hey, we want to be able to um, put a rental solution together for a new company we're acquiring," then that's something we can do, right? We can just simply add it to the existing platform that they're on. We can just add a rental solution, and they can just take off and keep going. Whereas with the older systems, you can't do that. The older systems, you can't necessarily jump inside and with no code, low code, create a solution for customers. But with Acumatica, you can. And so it really opens the doors for the technologies that can use it. The last count I saw, where there's 156 different types of companies that are using Acumatica today worldwide, and they have a big following. I mean, they're pretty big in Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and throughout the Middle East. But the U.S. are really catching hold, and they're headquartered in the United States. It's just the way they rolled their software out. MYOB out of Australia, that's 100% Acumatica under the hood, right? They have their own name, Lexmark
Mhm.
in Germany, Visma in Scandinavia. That's all 100% Acumatica. But we've been fortunate enough in 2016 to latch on to Acumatica because we understood the technology was going to be really important in the future. And it's been one of the best decisions we've made because we can service any type of company now. There really are no restrictions on what types of companies can access and use Acumatica. So we have some of the fastest growing companies in the United States using Acumatica. Quick Quack Car Wash is one of them. They're adding one new location every 3 days right now, and so they're just growing exponentially, and they have a system that can keep up with them.
Um, when this is a follow-up question. I must say it's a bonus question. It wasn't in the script, just for the record. So um, you talk about change management earlier when
Mhm.
deploying ERPs or any other enterprise system. Um, from your viewpoint, what are the best practices to address the resistance to change management in an organization during the implementation process?
Yeah, so best practices really do depend on the company itself, right? One way will work well with one company, and then it won't work well with another. So you have to know your audience, right? And so we spend a lot of time getting to know the company, the key players, the SMEs, the subject matter experts, right? The people who are going to be making the decisions. We get to know them really well, understand what they want out of the software and how they want to be able to function in the system, and then we devise our implementation process based on what we discover as part of the change management process. So we do spend time validating that we understand exactly where they need to be, and then we put together a plan that encourages that change and helps them to walk through it. So we'll take them through the steps, and then we'll backtrack a little bit and say, okay, now this is how you were doing it. Here's how you're now doing it. Are there any challenges that you can see that are going to keep you from doing your job? And they typically will say, no, I don't think so. And then we'll introduce optimization, automation, right? So we'll say, hey, now that you've got this down, we can now automate this manual process that you've been doing for the last 20 years. Would you be okay with that? well, yeah, I'd love that. That would be fantastic, right? And so then we'll go ahead and we'll automate, for example, the banking and credit card reconciliation process for the county. We can automate that 100% now and have it automatically pull the data, match the data, create the expense reports. Just it's fully automated now. But we typically wait until they're live and they've built a good stable background. They're running well in the system. Then we start introducing the automation to make their lives even easier. So it
I
tends
like
to
to
work pretty well, Kevin. Tends to work pretty
Yes.
well if you know your audience and you do a good job of the discovery.
I like to shift our conversation towards AI. It's a popular subject. We have a lot of listeners and followers, and YouTube they watch our videos as well. That they are interested in AI and impact of AI. So I like to see what you are thinking and understand your viewpoint. So we all use AI in some way nowadays, as a business, as an individual. So we started to use it and get familiar with it. We are in the process. Uh, and what do you see how it's going to be in the future? How it's going to change the business landscape? And the popular question is also we are getting from our audience all the time: will AI replace jobs?
So AI isn't necessarily going to replace jobs, right? Just off the bat, the reason why is because there's still input that has to be done with AI. So you still have to have people that are inputting, data, asking the questions, validating that what they're getting is actually correct. Depending on the resources, there's multiple solutions that you can now utilize. With Chat GPT being one of them, but there are so many now that you can jump in and you can jump in and do it in pilot, right? With Microsoft, you can then do something in Chat GPT and you can compare what you get, and depending on how you ask the question will determine what you get. And so having people who know how to ask the right questions, know how to then take the data and actually present it in a way, and if you're smart, you're going to use AI to actually create your presentations nowadays and provide the information to the teams that you need. So what I see happening are companies that are capturing the vision of what you can do with AI. They're beginning to figure out that, hey, I don't have to have a whole complete staff of people that are answering questions now, right? I can actually utilize them to work on my business versus in my business, right? And working on the business provides value. Working in the business provides comfort. It just makes sure that your business continues to run. But when you have people who are actually working on your business more than they're working in your business, your chance for growth and for new ideas and strategies to improve your business become much better. And so freeing up those people that are currently answering all the questions when there's a challenge versus having AI manage all of that for you is a way to look at, hey, here's how I can grow my business. Here's how I can actually scale my business. And I can have AI handling all the back end work that, I would rather not have people doing, but having them doing the things that AI cannot do. The things, the establishing relationships, building relationships, thinking of new ideas, and then going and utilizing AI to solidify those ideas, right? Because AI is definitely it needs to be in every business, and every person really should be using it because it's a game changer, especially when it comes to how do you market yourself, how do you market your company, how do you make sure that you become a very, very good at content. Like right now, I know I'm speaking to you live, right?
Mhm.
But there's times when I'm doing podcasts when I'm not live. I'm just simply handing them my script, and they're using my AI, a copy of me to do that, right? So I mean,
True.
it's amazing what the technology is enabling, and it's just barely starting to scratch the surface too.
Yes, it looks like it's just the beginning. And early last week, I pretty much spent the last week entirely at the SAP's summit, SAP Sapphire in Orlando, to
Mhm.
see their roadmap, what they're up to. Eventually, that's the largest enterprise software company. So I wanted to, get myself educated and stay on top of the SAP ecosystem. And during those seminars and the presentations, AI also was the number one subject. They came up with their AI technology. All these agents are coming in, and they gave this similar message that you just mentioned. So they basically positioned as an assistant to make things easier. So this is not by no means ready for replacing anyone yet, not yet. In the
That's
future, we shall see. But at least at the moment, just like you mentioned, it's pretty much early stages.
Oh yeah. Well, and what we're finding is a lot of our customers that are capturing the vision of what they can do with AI,
Mm,
right? They're starting to
yes.
realize, oh, this isn't about replacing employees. This is about allowing them to do work faster, more
Mhm,
efficiently, and to also have multiple methodologies that they can use, right? They don't have
mhm,
just one place where they're going. They can run 3 or 4 different AI solutions on the same question at the same time, and then they can take a compilation of that information and put it into a PowerPoint and say, here's our 4 options, right? Versus just doing one at a time. So you can speed up the increase in knowledge and knowledge transfer. You can speed up the building of presentations, you name it. You literally
mhm.
don't have anything that's stopping you now from being able to take advantage of AI.
Uh, David, you have decades of professional experience. In your career journey, have you had any role models that you can uh, tell us about?
So yeah, so I have some interesting role models. So I as a young man, I'd with my fiber optics company, I met a gentleman who wore coveralls and he drove a 1967 Cadillac Cimarron, right? Really old car. And we met and we were talking one day, and he says, "So, what would you think I do for a living?" Right? And I said, "I have no idea. You look like you might be a dairy farmer." Right? And and he says, "Well, I actually was a dairy farmer about 25 years ago, and then I sold my dairy." And he says, "I'm a developer, and I own most of the land that you can see east of here. I own pretty much all that land, right? And this is in Portland, Oregon area. And so basically everything east of 82nd Street is what he owned." And I said, "Well, so tell me about how you became a developer." And he says, "Well, I had some money from the sale of my dairy, and so I built a 100,000 square foot building. And about 3 weeks before I finished it, a company named Boeing came and offered me a 100-year lease on the building." And he said, and that just opened up more doors for me. So, he was worth about 350 million. That was about his when I met him. And so I asked him if he would mentor me. And for the next 15 years, he mentored me. And I would go to him with questions. I would go to him and ask, what would you do in this situation? And he always had answers that were not what I expected. And so I was getting a different, point of view every time from what I thought I would hear from him. He would always have something completely different. And there were times when I accepted what he provided to me and took it and used it. And there were times when I said, "Yeah, that's interesting, but I'm probably not going to adopt that." But over the years, he mentored me, and I began to also mentor as part of my give back. And so I've
Mhm.
mentored quite a few people over the years, and it's been a lot of fun to watch them grow, right, and see them grow in their careers. And an interesting point here: a gentleman that I started mentoring 10 years ago is now mentoring my replacement. So, in my company. So
Amazing.
that's what I call a great circle, right? Where
It
if you
is.
actually help people grow their businesses, they successfully have an exit, and then they're saying, "How do I give back?" And I just called him up and said, "Hey, I have my replacement that I've hired, but I don't have time to give him all the training. Can you mentor him, please?" And he took that up as a responsibility and to give back, right? So it's lots of good mentors over the years, and some of them are notable that people would know, but I probably won't mention them. But I would say that, these mentors were a huge part of helping me to figure out how to become a true, not just an administrator, but someone who can develop talent and help young people to grow in their careers and make more of themselves than they think they can become.
Can you also share some lessons learned in your long career journey? Some lessons learned that you can share with our audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you that as an entrepreneur, you're not always going to be successful. So if you're familiar with light waves and sound waves, they're undulating, right? They are undulations constantly. And that's life. I mean, in business, you're going to have up years, and you have down years, up years, and you have down years, right? And what I try and teach, and share is that it doesn't matter how low you go, you can always look up and see where you're going to go. And so when you have a goal, when you set some goals and you really work to accomplish those goals, if you always keep your end objective in mind, and you always know how you're going to get there, right? It makes a difference when you're in your low periods. There was a time when I lost just about everything that I had built, because of a bad investment, and there wasn't anything I could do about the turn in the market, and just ended up having to just say, okay, that money's gone. I'll just go ahead and start over again, right? And you can't basically hang your hat on a success. It's one after the other. There can be a success, then a failure, then a success, and then a success, and then a failure. And after 18 startups, I can tell you it's pretty much, the timing has to be right. And so when you're going through the process of getting ready to start up a company, you need to really understand your market. You need to understand how you're going to get from A to Z, not just A to B, right? You've got to understand all of the chess moves that have to happen between A and Z. And so some of the things I've learned is to plan well, and make sure you have a solid business plan. Make sure you understand where you're going to go and how you're going to get there, what markets you're gonna serve, which customers you're gonna go after. Whatever you're doing, you really need to know how you're going to do it, and then put into effect the plan. And then, as Jim Collins said, you hire the right people, you get them on your bus, and then you get them in the right seats, and you can become a great company once you've done that. So it's all about teaching, sharing, and growing those you bring on board, to become better and to learn more. So I think those are my main ones, Kevin. Hopefully that was helpful.
Yes, appreciate it. Yeah, these are great. Um, uh, what are your biggest passions and interests outside of work?
So my wife would tell you it's more work, but I do have a nutrition company that's a compassion of mine that I've had for 27 years now, and we help type 1s and type 2 diabetics, right, lead normal lives and not have to live on insulin. And so we've been doing that a long time. That's a passion of mine, is actually helping people to lead more healthy lives. But I'm a cyclist. I do long distance racing. So this year I signed up for my 10th. It's called Lotoja. It's from Logan, Utah to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It goes through 3
Wow,
states and climbs over 3 mountain ranges. And you have to complete the 206 miles between sunrise and sunset. And
amazing.
so it's a grueling, lot of climbing, close to 9,000 feet of climbing. And so it's definitely a challenge, but I've done it. Last year I did not get to do it because my son had brain surgery the day before the race, so I
Ah,
had to forego that one. But I signed up again this year to do my 10th one. So I'll be, I've basically done 10 out of the last 11 years. I've done that
amazing.
race, and I do there's a lot of mountains right by my house. And so last night I went and climbed up to 8,600 feet, up a mountain and on a road bike, and then came flying back down and put in some 39 miles just in a couple of hours, right? So I do that, and I play basketball still. Played basketball this morning, and so I have those passions. And then my family, my grandkids. I have 9 grandkids,
Oh,
and
that's great.
we just came back from a trip to Montana. So we went and spent a week in Montana. They got to meet their great grandmother. Some of them had never met my mom, who's still alive and in her late 80s, and so they got to go meet her. So my passion is family and other work and just cycling, golf, and all the fun things. And I do go to Alaska every year fishing as well. That's another passion as well. So
Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting. Thank you for sharing all these, and it's definitely good to know you better. Well, I know you like to help next generation. You always share your insights. You are very generous about it, which I always truly appreciate it.
yeah.
And that is actually why we started our podcast from day one. That's why we call it the American Business Podcast for the next generation. Of course, we share educational content for today's generation as well, but we were always keeping the next generation in mind. Having said that, what type of career advice would you give to those who likes to or who are thinking about getting into enterprise software or technology fields?
So it's interesting that we have so many options today for these young kids that are coming out of college. They have a lot of options, and a lot of them are looking to become famous, right? And they're going to find that less than 1% actually become famous. And so my advice is, don't look to become famous, but look to become someone who contributes to society, right? Someone that will contribute back to society, that will help others along the way. I have a 501c3 charitable foundation that I created that we're using to help locally. And then we just recently started helping in Nigeria and in Ghana. So we're providing, helping to build, put wells into communities there that don't have water within 20 miles of their village, right? So things like that really do make a difference. Looking to make a difference in life and looking for a cause that you can get behind and that you can say, hey, I want to make more money so I can help this cause. What you'll find, this is I believe a law of the universe, is that the more you give, the more you get. I think that divine being, that some call Allah, some call God. I think he actually wants his children to help each other, right? And be kind. And so I see that as being a blessing when you get a chance to give, to help other people. And then you teach others how to give. And we have a saying amongst our 501c3 group, and that is, the more you give, the more you get. And you do not get to keep, you get to give.
That's amazing. Thank you very much for these insights. It's hard to believe we already passed 30 minutes. Hopefully, we can have part 2 in the future and we can continue our conversation.
I appreciate it.
Yes, pleasure is all mine. And for those listeners and audience that we have who likes to continue this conversation and who likes to be in touch with you, what is the best way to get in touch with you and your organization?
So you can find us, of course, on the web. Everybody has a website nowadays, right? Ours is scalewithpremier.com. And then I'm also reachable through other, like LinkedIn. So I have a LinkedIn profile that you can just put my name in and you'll be able to find me. And you'll also, Premier Tech Partners has its own LinkedIn. So we're on all the social media, Instagram, everything. So wherever and I'm one of those people that I will respond if somebody reaches out with a question. I also have my AI persona that will respond as well.
That's great. Very exciting. I like it. Well, David, thank you so much for being with us in your busy schedule. It's always a pleasure having the conversation with you in person, also in this podcast. So I truly appreciate your time. Hopefully, we can also get together soon. I missed you last time in New York, so hopefully next time we can get together.
Next time we'll get together. Kevin,
Thank
it's
you.
been a pleasure, and thanks for what you do. Appreciate
Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
You too. Take care.
Well, to our audience and to our listeners, we had another great conversation. And we talk about enterprise software industry in general, as well as the ERP industry, ERP software industry in general. And one of the important things that we talk about today, actually, the change management in organizations, which is really challenging, not easy most of the time, especially when you are deploying an enterprise level system, an ERP system or another enterprise software system. You get resistance sometimes from the organization, from within. So how to address it and what to do. We also learn about some insights today from David. So that was really good. Thank you so much for your support. We just passed 30,000 YouTube subscribers on YouTube. So thank you. And if you haven't done so, please go to YouTube, go to our channel, American Business Podcast, ABP, and please subscribe, put your comments on the channel, and please support us. Every week we share educational content, and we continue doing so. We have a great pipeline of subject matter experts, and in each ABP episode, the American Business Podcast episode, you learn at least one or two things that you never heard before. This is the feedback that I've been getting from our audience. I'm pretty confident you'll learn something. I'm really confident. That's our goal. So we'll keep it educational. We'll keep it informative. If you like to share your feedback, if you like to share some ideas with us, also if you like to be a guest speaker, if you know someone who likes to be a guest speaker in our podcast, please send us an email. It is americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. We keep an open mind. We are very responsive to our emails. Please write to us, share your ideas. If you're interested in being a guest speaker, please send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Also, if you visit our website, americanpodcast.tv, you'll see the schedule, what is coming up. That is really exciting for us. It's because today we are completing our season 1 at the American Business Podcast. This is our 35th episode. So we have done 35 different episodes in 3 months. We are very excited. I know you like it very much. That's why you subscribe and you support, you watch us. We truly appreciate it. We got the message. So we'll keep pushing it. We'll keep bringing you educational content. And next week, we are starting season 2. So that there's going to be more guests, more speakers will be with us. And we have a new sponsor, IPVanish VPN. And if you visit their website, I put the link on the screen. If you visit, you can get information. If you're interested, you can subscribe. IPVanish VPN I use. It is solid. If you are looking for a VPN software, you can choose IPVanish. It works very well. It addresses your requirements in terms of having a VPN. Also, for your organization, if you like to be a sponsor, if you like to advertise in our podcast, please send us an email, americanbusinesspodcast@gmail.com, and you can put sponsor or advertising in the subject line, and we'll get back to you. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your interest. Well, looking forward to having you next week with our season 2, and we're going to have more subject matter experts, and we'll keep bringing you educational and informative business podcasts. Thank you very much and have a great weekend.